How's it going, guys? I believe we've all seen the announcement or live stream if you were there, but we do have a limited banner coming on the 14th of April. So obviously here we are again with another Shiju Pool video, and this time it's just gonna be straight up Silver Ash, the Rainfrost. So Silver Ash Altar is what I'm gonna be calling him, but this is just gonna be such a simple video to just say you should just pull. But it gets really complicated when I'm talking about the mechanics. So without further ado, I want to go straight into the mechanics because it gets really deep and there's so many reasons why I would highly recommend everyone to pull Silver Ash Altar. All right, get into it. So this is Silver Ash the Rainfrost. As you guys can see, he is a strategist. I believe most of us aren't familiar with this class. I'm just going to slightly explain it. So look at the stats here. You can actually see pretty decent stat and blocks too. So you can basically consider them better stat version of Pioneer, so operators like Siege and whatnot. Now, obviously this is really good because usually Vanguards are meant to be like coming into the early game and then assist to block some, like tank some enemies, dealing with the early phases and then generate DP at the same time. And that's what Silver Ash Altar does. It does generate a ton of DP, especially in skill 1 and skill 3. You can basically generate the same amount of DP as Leech while blocking enemies and dealing a ton of damage as well. So actually pretty broken. Now let's take a look at his talents because those are even better and actually plays a huge role in how he works. His first talent is that when Silver Ash Altar is on the field, he will add Eye of the Storm to the deployable area, so in your hand, which costs 16 DP. Now it will also rearrange all units in your hand according to the DP cost. So the cheapest, the lowest DP cost go on the far left and the highest DP cost go on the right. And then Eye of the Storm will actually cost, will be on the right of all operators and unit that cost 16 DP as well. So it will go on the far right of them. Now, if an operator is to the left of Eye of the Storm, they will gain +4 initial SP and will also have -20% redeployment time. That also applies to Silver Ash Altar himself. Now this redeployment time reduction actually stacks with the original Silver Ash's -10%. So you can think of it as maybe 100 seconds to begin with, and then you take 10% off, you're at 90 seconds, and you can take another 20% off that, which is 90 times 0.8 is 72 seconds essentially. So this is actually a really core thing to look at as well. The Eye of the Storm is actually really critical. I actually don't know if it's called that thing because I haven't seen a translation yet. It wasn't available when I'm recording this video, but I'll just call it that. So this is actually a really important thing to keep in mind when it comes to his skills. And as I mentioned, Eye of the Storm actually costs 16 DP and you actually can't deploy it between skill 1 and 2, but you can deploy it in skill 3. We'll talk about that later. Now his second talent is that when Silver Ash Altar is on the field, all operators from Yerag are immune to freeze and they will have +60 defense and will also recover 1.5% of their max HP per second. Now if Silver Ash is on the field for 15 seconds, it will actually double that. With potential 5, this actually increases to 80 defense and 2% max HP per second, which doubles that. You'll be getting 160 defense and 4% max HP recovery per second, which is actually really brutal because the defense thing actually bypasses stages that decreases your defense. So think of stages like DC. So you see where I'm going down the road with this operator. So that is his basic trait and his talents. And now let's take a look at his skills. So here we have skill 1. This is actually one of the most basic skills, but actually still a very important skill. And as you can see, I have actually M9 Silver Ash Altar, and I would highly recommend everyone to do so. This is a really important operator that all 3 skills are crucial. Now this skill is really interesting because it's automatically regenerates and automatically triggers. Upon trigger this, you will automatically immediately gain 10 DP, and within your deployable field, like in your hand, the operator that is the closest to Eye of the Storm will have -5 DP cost. Now it will prioritize operators on the right and operators that are guard, caster, and sniper. Now obviously when it says the closest, that means the DP, the operator that has the most similar DP. So when it's also going to the right, that means operator with 17 DP will be prioritized if there are no guard, caster, or snipers. So these three get prioritized. Even if they're like much higher DP, they will get prioritized first. Now when they are deployed, they will also gain 50% of Silver Ash Ultra's max HP as barrier, and that has actually no duration as of right now, so that is just really strong. Now the really interesting thing is about this skill is, first of all, you don't have to manually activate it. Second of all, this actually generates similar amount of DP as Sage skill 1 if you manually activate it. And obviously you can see that it's 19 initial SP out of 29 SP required, but this actually goes to 23 because of the initial SP that he also gives himself. So all three of these skills, you should plus 4 initial SP to all of them. So yes, it actually starts to go really broken really quickly, and this is actually a skill that I would highly recommend people to bring. So you know, in stages like where you want to AFK and you just don't want to be clicking on Vanguard just to generate DP, like in RA where you have a huge map and you don't want to go scroll back to your flag bearer just to hit their skill. This is actually a great skill to have, and highly recommended anyone who just want to drop their Vanguard and just let them recover DP like you would with Pioneer skill 1 essentially. So actually highly recommended skill because of the SP raw DP generation that it provides. So that's skill 1. Next we have skill 2. So as you can see, this is my default skill and there's a reason to it. Now upon activation, which is a manually activated skill, Silver Ash will deal 380% of his attack as physical damage to 6 enemies in front of him. And this is the range. If you find this range familiar, that's because it is the range of 2 Silver Slash, and that is just what I'm just going to call it because I don't think it will be confusing if I'm only talking about Silver Ash Ultra rather than the old Silver Slash. So I just call it 2 Silver Slash. 1 hit though. Now, these enemies will get 6 seconds of cold and lose invisibility for 6 seconds. Now, within your hand, so within your deployable unit, the operator that is the closest to the Eye of Storm will have -11 DP. It will also prioritize enemies to the right, operators to the right, and its guard, caster, and sniper, the usual stuff. Now you see this skill actually doesn't generate any DP, so that's actually something that you have to look out for, because when you decrease operators DP, when you retreat them, you actually also get less DP back. So this actually doesn't replace DP regeneration, but I'll explain why this is still my most picked skill. Now, upon activating this skill, this also gives all operators to the left of Eye of the Storm, so any operator with 16 or less DP, even after decreased, so those one that were like maybe like 17 and decreased down to now 6, will also get what is this part, which is they will gain a true Silver Slash upon their activation. You can stack this twice. So you see where I'm going with this? If you have a lot of operators to the left of Eye of the Storm and you trigger this skill twice, each of them will have 2 charges of true Silver Slash upon deployment. Now this skill can also be charged twice, so you can just go boom boom and then just freeze enemies. Now these extra hits from deployed operators will also have the cold. That means if you charge them twice, it will freeze enemies for 6 seconds and unveil them for 6 seconds as well. So huge AoE unveil, huge AoE freeze on all deployed operators that have lower DP cost than Eye of the Storm, which is really crazy. And the best part is, once the PC client releases, so I'm not quite sure how far away that is for global, even on phone, you can just drag out operators during pause. So you know how like pause deploy was actually like a technique that you actually kind of have to practice, of like pausing and unpausing really quickly. You don't need to do that anymore. You can just hit pause, drag the operator out, deploy, or keep the pause and just keep dragging operators out. So essentially what you can do is drag a bunch of operators all onto the field at the same time, each doing 2 hits of true Silver Slash to insta-kill bosses. This is the highest DPS you can ever obtain in this game because it is instantaneous and it is so fast. It is crazy. You can even bypass some boss mechanics because you're killing them so fast they actually don't get the time to get into the animation of triggering invincibility or something like that. Actually crazy skill and so much fun to play with. Whoever actually just enjoys the combat part of Arknights, highly recommend this skill because it's just so much fun to play with. I'll talk about like how to utilize this skill down in the conclusion section where I talk about use cases in all different modes, but trust me when I say this is my main choice of skill, and I absolutely love this operator because of this skill. So that's skill 2. Now at last we have skill 3. Upon activating skill 3, Silver Ash's attack area will increase and unveil all enemies within attack area, and this is the attack area. Now attack will become a straight line damage that can penetrate enemies, dealing 200% of his attack as physical damage and apply 30% fragile, immediately gain 9 DP and continuously get 29 DP throughout the duration of this 48 second skill. So this is actually really broken. Now upon first activation, this skill will change, so swap the operator with the lowest and the highest DP, obviously prioritizing sniper, Vanguard, guard, sniper and caster that has the highest DP with the operator that has the lowest DP. So if you have a robot, you can switch around and get a 3 DP Wizardel if you like. Now within this skill duration, Eye of the Storm will actually become deployable as well, and during skill 3 the Eye of the Storm actually costs 19 DP. Now the interesting part is when you apply Eye of the Storm, actually attacks as Silver Ash himself attacks, and you have to deploy this on an operator. So let's say as an example, you deploy Silver Ash on one line and then another operator hitting the same line, you can actually deal double the damage at the same time, which actually gives this skill about 130k amount of total damage, and applying large area of invisibility and then dealing 30% fragile at the same time. Need that to be repeated. 130k damage, 30% fragile, this area of unveiling enemy and generating the same amount of DP as Salish skill 1, all that together in one skill. So essentially you are basically looking at another broken Vanguard, and I would say that this is another Innes moment. Remember how when Innes came out and actually just changes the game? Before we had agents and they were good, but they didn't replace the entire flag bearer like system. Innes came out, everything changed. Silver Ash Altar is exactly that, but for strategist. And I think just saying that explains how important this operator is, and I would highly recommend everyone to pull him and get all 3 skills to M3. So that's M3. So as per usual, at the end I would like to talk about the use cases of Silver Ash Altar in all different situations. First of all, let's just go through your normal events and stuff like that, including just if you're just starting out the game, I would highly recommend everyone to get him. So going with skill 1 just generates tons of DP, like I mentioned, just really good, and actually blocks pretty well as well because of his high base stats. So I highly recommend everyone if you're just starting out. Here's skill 1, works perfectly fine. Now with the second skill, you can actually bring in a lot of operators that have high redeployment times. Just keep Silver Ash on the field and you just keep redeploying all other operators with the minus 20% redeployment time. It's actually really fun to just redeploy them all with true Silver Slash. And this is actually when I would say Tax's Altar actually outshines Yato Altar, because remember when Yato Altar was I would say slightly the better choice just because of how much damage it dealt, while Tax's Altar was more about the AoE control with her skill 3, obviously skill 2 with the arts damage buff, but obviously skill 3 was the main thing. Now with this skill 2, you can actually use Silver Ash as the damage source, and Tax's Altar just stuns the enemy to keep them in place and increase her survivability as well. And you also get stun plus freeze at the same time. So if enemy have only one of the immunity, you can at least still control them. So actually really great thing to have. So Taxes and Yato Altar definitely shine with them, but also Agent with fast redeployment time also works really well. It's just an all-around a really fun operator to play with. You can basically use him as the main damage source to clear a lot of stages, and that's just crazy fun. Obviously, you can go with skill 3 with reliable DP regeneration and just good damage in general and holding a lot of lanes. That's also a good choice. So all 3 skills are great in just your normal events. Next, we have obviously CC, because apparently CC is coming back in even Enfield. Yay! So obviously, with his talent that can just ignore defense decrease, basically makes him a really good choice. And if you really look back at all CCs, Vanguards all play a critical role in them. It's either going with Ines, which provides a lot of utility plus DP regeneration, or even just Saliage, which also generates a ton of DP. Actually, just having a flag bearer in the field just to generate DP is a really common thing. Now, putting Silver Ash in that place is actually a really good option as well. Actually, I would say my top pick right now. And having his skill 3 to also deal some damage is just so great. So actually really good pick for IS currently and CC currently. Now, next we have IS, my favorite mode. And this is actually where his skill 2 comes in. So currently in IS6, there's a coin that will allow operators to just keep automatically using their skill. You guys know that one. And you also have a lot of collectibles that can decrease Vanguard DP SP requirement. So that allows Silver Ash skill to just be spammed on-stop, decreasing everyone's DP to cost to 0, and you'll just have infinite operator deployability and just infinite amount of true Silver Slash on the field, and it's just really fun to play with. I love it. Maybe not so much for skill 3, and I probably wouldn't say so for IS5 as well, just because of how tight Hope his iron is in IS5. But definitely with IS6, great pick. Actually, my current top pick for 6-star Vanguards at the moment. Next, we have RA, actually. So as I mentioned in skill 1, you can actually just drop him and he will just keep generating DP, which makes him really good for RA. Actually, my favorite part about him. So I would say in general, just pick him for RA in those huge maps where you have to scroll around to find your operators again, especially with how inconvenient the control is with those big maps. Great choice to have. And then finally, I would say SSS. You know how in usual SSS you'll be bringing a lot of pioneers just because they can block too. Silver Ash also does the same thing, generates more DP, blocks better, deals better damage. What's not to love about bringing him to SSS? Actually, one of my top pick for SSS team comps right now, if I ever need a Vanguard to just stack those equipments. Brainless, like, just so easy pick. So hope that gave you a idea of how broken and just why I highly recommend everyone to pull Silver Ash Altar. Like, I would say it's really worth skipping some banners before just to make sure you can pull him. And this is the banner that everyone should be going like all out just to get Silver Ash Altar. Praminix Altar is also really strong and one of my favorite operators to use as of right now as well, just because of her AoE AFK capability. But Silver Ash, because he's limited, actually comes into the first one. So that would be it for this video. And for those of you who has watched this video to the end, allow me for a little flex for this Surtur skin. I love this skin, even though this account is basically free to play right now and I don't even buy monthly cards anymore, but I just love her so much. I had to buy it. I know I'm gonna regret it, but she just looks so beautiful. I had to pull. So thank you guys for watching this video, and I hope you guys don't mind the little flex that I have with this Surtur skin, because don't we all love a good skin. See you guys in the Praminix Altar video. Bye.